Alright, we're back on the horse. I think it's been 3 years since my last video. Um, Trying to get back into chess and get back into chess shape. So I've been solving some puzzles on Lichess lately, and I just thought I'd record some of that, just go through my thought process solving these puzzles. So here we go. Black to win, or not necessarily win, but it's usually a win in these puzzles. So I assume the point here is to promote this pawn and avoid the bishops interfering with that plan. White does have this pawn here, but don't think it's going anywhere at the moment because his king is kind of boxed in. So what if I just advance this pawn? Now this move by the bishop is stopped because I have the rook here covering. So another defense could be bishop here attacking the rook, but then I think I just advance. It takes the rook, I promote. So what is wrong with that? Bishop here? No. I don't really see any defense. Pawn to f3. So the thing about these puzzles is if it looks too easy, there's almost always a trick, so you have to be aware. And you also notice that I don't know the rating of this puzzle, so I don't know its difficulty. I have a difficulty level set to normal, but I think it's just pawn here, right? Yes, and we expected this bishop move, and I think we just promote. No. Huh. Okay, so that was wrong. This puzzle had a rating of 2637. So I guess if I go here, he will take my rook, and then what? Yeah, of course. He just stops. He stops the promotion. Oh man. So just something like I think it's this move, right? Yeah. So he has to give up this, but then there's just nothing. Okay, so that was pretty bad. Let's try another one. Okay, so we have two rooks for a queen. This guy is almost promoting, so that looks scary. I have this check here. And if the king goes to the corner, it's actually checkmate. So that doesn't work. He has to... I suppose he has to interfere with his queen. Now... So one idea, rook b8 check, and if the queen blocks, queen b4. If I just take, then I can't stop this pawn, I have to give up my rook. So, but I do have a different move, queen b4, I have rook takes b2 check, and does that even help? So if I give this check right away, he has to go to the a3 square. And unfortunately, bishop c5 is not mate. This is a difficult one. Rook takes b2, king a3, rook b8, rook d to b8, and then he promotes with check, and then I'm lost. So what else is there? It kind of feels like I have to do this with check. Really annoying. So if I have to give up the rook for this pawn, I can never win, right? Wait a minute. What am I talking about? So rook b8 check, queen b4, rook takes b2 check. Rook takes b2 check. Yeah, of course. And then after the king moves, I just take with this rook. So rook b8 check, queen b4, rook takes b2 check, and then either king a4 or king a3. And then I will take with this rook. Once he promotes with check, I have to give up my rook, but then if he takes back, I still have this rook. So that should leave me up with a rook, right? I'm really slow today. And if king a3, there's, so rook b8 check, king a3, there's bishop takes b2 checkmate. So this, wait a minute. And yeah, and if the queen blocks with queen b5, it's the same thing. I end up taking with this rook, and I still get to keep a rook. So here, and I take with this one. And now I can even do this. Yeah. Finally. Okay, so let's do one final. I usually like to do like 3 or 5 because I'd rather spend some time to actually get it right than to just plow through a bunch of puzzles, because I think that's the sort of thought process I need to get into to actually improve my game. So we have a hanging rook. I can take it right now, but where does that leave me? So material is equal if I do that, so we probably need to look for some mates, I assume. So first thing that comes to mind is a check here, or maybe here. So I mean, something like this, if the knight blocks and I play e6, trying to win the knight, then I think he has like rook g2 check, knight takes, pawn takes, check, so I have to take this, and then maybe there's a perpetual with queen g4. Queen g4, bishop f2, queen, bishop g3, queen e2 check. How do I escape perpetual there? I don't think I do, actually. Not able to calculate all of it, but I don't think that's the solution. So if queen c6 check, knight d7, I do also have the option of playing queen c8 check, and then on king e7 I have this knight check, knight d5 check, And then if king e6, still protecting the knight, I have queen c6 check, king f7 forced, and then I get to take the knight with check. And in that case, I only need to exchange queens or something, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna win. So that actually, yeah, that is a forced win, I think. Queen c6 check, knight d7, queen c8 check, and if he goes king f7 straight away, that's almost the same thing. Almost, because my knight is here on e3 and not d5. So knight d7 doesn't save him. What else is there? There's a lot of different king moves. So there is, for instance, king f7 straight away. Then I have queen f6 check, one possibility. Another would be just queen takes c4 check or queen d5 check. But then he can block with a knight again. Yeah, but then I have... Yeah, so I think queen d5 check there is better than queen c4. So here, I think queen d5 check is better, because then if knight e6 I have queen d7 check, and again I'm picking up the knight probably with check. Or maybe not. Really tricky, this one. So what about queen, just queen a8 check? I'm not sure if that really helps, because you can still play the same king moves. So at the moment I think queen c6 check is looking more promising. So either king... So we've established that knight d7 is not a defense, I think. But either king e7 or king f7 are both options. Even king d8. Even king d8. I think it's pretty important that everything happens with check. I think. I'm not sure. So once my queen leaves f3, the bishop is no longer protected, and of course at the moment he is threatening this, winning my queen. So that's something to consider. I can't make like a quiet move or anything. Huh. Pretty tricky. Queen c6. Queen c6, king f7, queen d5 check, there's even king g7. And how do I win? And I don't have access to this square anymore. Wow. So many options for black, I feel. But it looks, I mean, it looks really good for white with this pawn chain, I must say. So even if something like just taking the rook feels like it's very close to winning. Actually, what does he do if I do that? So if I play knight takes rook, queen takes, I just exchange, and then Play king g3. Even that is probably not winning. Because yeah. Let's say I just trade off. He takes back with the queen. King g3. Planning to take this pawn here on g4. And taking it while stopping, still covering h2 with my bishop. Then he can play knight e6. And if I then take the pawn, then he takes my bishop. I'm not in time to stop this pawn. So even that is not convincing, actually. But maybe just, if queen takes here, queen takes g4, pawn takes, maybe just d5. Yeah, but then he has knight g6, so that doesn't work. Okay, so I think knight takes g4 is not the move. I mean, I'm pretty sure that that is queen c6 is the move. I just don't see the entire variation. So queen c6. So like if this was a real game, I would probably just make the move by now, because it's like I would just risk losing on time if I spent this long. Queen c6. Man. It has to be something forceful, yeah? So he is threatening this, and I need to win some material at least. So queen c6, king d8 is actually my main variation right now. But I guess then I could go queen a8. But even if he just leaves the protection of the knight on f8, I'm not sure if I can even take it. Yeah, but then I have knight d5 again. Yeah, so queen c6, king d8, queen a8 check, king e7, there's knight d5. I think that's pretty good. And if king f7, there's queen b7. And then finally, if either king e8 or king g8, there's this forking everything, family fork. So that's some progress, I feel, in the calculation. So queen c6, king d8, queen a8 check, king e7 doesn't work. So what about king d7? Then I guess just queen b7. Or something else. That is a tricky move. I feel like we need to get the knight into the game. Okay. I've spent too much time. Let's just try this. Okay. So this was the point when I felt that queen d5 check was the best, because then knight e6 doesn't work. Like if taking this pawn on check is obviously tempting, but knight here, I can't check here, so I sort of run out of checks. While here I have this check, right? So we've established that as winning. So what am I actually afraid of? Probably just king g7. Then where are my checks? Yeah, so queen d5 check, king g7, queen b7 check, then even king h8. I have no checks left. That's embarrassing. Wow. So it would be really nice on king g7 if I could have this check, but the queen is protecting that, so... And I can't check here on d7. Whew, this is a tough one. So queen f6 check is the other. Actually, e6 check is a move. It actually is a move. Because if knight takes, there's this, queen check here, and no matter where he goes, I'm pretty sure I get to take his bishop with check. So if he goes here, I have this check, but then... yeah, then... yeah, then I get to take his knight with check, the next move, no matter what. And then I should just be picking up stuff. Whew, so e6 is a move. But, however, what if he just plays king g8 again? Then what? Then what? Actually, there's... wow, I just realized something. If I can make a strong threat, like say queen f6, king e8, maybe e6, what is he actually threatening? So rook g2 check, I can play king h1, and I'm actually covering this d1 square, so the queen doesn't have checks. And in that case I would be actually threatening queen f7 check, king d8, queen takes f8 checkmate, because the bishop is covering here. Okay, that was a long variation, but just trying to make a point that maybe rook g2 check isn't as dangerous as I thought, because I do have this square covered. Wow. So queen d5 check king g7 doesn't lead to anywhere, right? But what about queen f6 check and then king g8? Does that help? I mean, there has to be some tactical trick here that I'm missing. So it's very tempting to play queen f6 check and followed by taking this pawn with a knight, but then he just has rook g2 and this square is no longer covered. So what the hell? I mean, I guess this pretty much comes down to a guess. I could of course take the pawn with check, take the rook and play queen f1, protecting against mate and protecting the bishop on f4. But it does look like black would get too much activity there. So is e6 the move then? e6, king g8. And I mentioned he isn't actually threatening anything, so e6, king g8, e7. How does black respond? I'm threatening both the knight and to queen. I already mentioned that rook g2, I have king h1 protecting the square. So this could be, I feel like this is a really difficult puzzle. So e6, if he takes with the knight, I somehow get to, yeah, I have queen d7 check, and I'm taking his, or am I? Yeah, I'm taking his knight with check. Right, so and if e6 check, king e7, I have bishop d6 check. Yeah. Then king f6, bishop e5 check, king e7 back. Then actually... No, because I have knight checks as well, so that's checkmate. No, I think it's this move. Yes. Then we go here, and that's it. Not sure if that was too boring for you guys, but we did manage to get there in the end. I think that's enough puzzles for today. Usually it doesn't take this much time, but just wanted to show like kind of how I solve puzzles. I think this is the way you learn, because if this was a real tournament game, this would be pretty much my thought process, and I would wait before making any moves until I was reasonably certain of that I was actually winning, because it's pretty obvious this was a winning position, so you have to make the calculations. So anyway, tell me if you enjoyed it or not. I guess I'll end it here, and see you guys.